Hi everybody, it's Rose Griffin here from ABA Speech. If you're new here, I'm a speech language pathologist and a board certified behavior analyst and the creator of www.abaspeech.org, helping you provide systematic language instruction with ease. And today I wanted to tell you about adapted books. I love using adapted books, and I've been in the field about 14 years, and when I got into the field, I loved making my own materials, and I still really do. Thank goodness that I have a TPT store now. I can share these with you as well, but I've been making these ever since I started, and it was one of the things that I really loved about the field, being able to be creative, being able to make things that were going to help my students increase their receptive, expressive, social language skills. I love adapted books because I like to make books that are simple, have simple text, engaging photos. Oftentimes I'm working with older learners who want something that is age respectful, but is also about simplistic topics. And so I create a lot of books around topics that are important for my students, like going to the grocery store, going to the library. Those are community-based outings that a lot of students go on. I have books about getting ready for school, feelings, weather words, and then I work with younger students, so I have a lot of different books about vehicles, visiting the farm, kind of embedding those classroom-based experiences with the time that the students see me, and how can we work on all those goals together so that they get lots of opportunities with simple text and engaging photos. And so I love these adapted books because at some places I'm working, I print out the book and I show it to my students. At other places, my learners are more engaged with a smart board because I'm very fortunate to work places where there's a smart board. So the students may come up on their turn, read the text, advance the slide for the next partner that's going to come up and read. Other times I just show the book on my computer or iPad. So it really just depends on the learner. What are they engaged with? What medium do they like? Or what do you just have access to? And so I've been putting up these books in my Teachers Pay Teacher store. I have a lot of different books, and as the years go on, I'm gonna keep on adding to them, so I hope you can check them out. So this week I wanted to share with you a couple of books that I have that are just about functional topics. So I always try to use really engaging photos. The students like to look at the pictures, and then I also include simplistic text. So these are great for if you're working with students in a mixed group. If you have students who are readers and students who are non-readers in the same group, it's a really nice activity. Something else I'm always trying to think of, if you've heard me talk before, is how can we work on a lot of the different functions of language? How can we work on a lot of the different verbal operants with students? So in this particular book called Winter and Summer, some of my students were working on labeling weather clothes, so associated with different seasons. So hat and coat and sandals and things like that, going swimming at the pool, that action and things of that nature. So we talk about those. I may show my students a flashcard. Then when we get together for group therapy, we're working on labeling it within a literacy-based event, which is really awesome. And sometimes we're working on filling in the blank. So the student may not be a reader, they may be a non-reader, but maybe they can label hat. And then when we get to that page in the book, I have that particular student who's working on labeling hat, maybe in more of a direct instruction type sense. I have them label it within a cooperative group, in a different area, in a different type of activity. And so we're working on that generalization component. Hey, it's great if you can label hat over there where there's no distraction in a one-on-one teaching area, but let's come over to a more natural environment teaching situation within a group, add all these other distractors. Can you still generalize that skill to different materials, potentially different people leading the group, and a different environment? Okay, so that's such an important thing that I've been talking about too lately in my trainings. So I wanted to show you these adapted books. So this one is called Winter and Summer. So functional concept, right, for students to understand. I do live in Ohio, but you know, what is winter? What is the weather like? What kind of clothes can we wear? Now this may be different if you're living in California and it's sunny all the time, but here in Ohio, this is functional, okay? In this winter, I wear boots. So if I have a student who maybe is even just working on verbally imitating boots, I may say in the summer, I wear boots, boots, and the student says it after me. If I have a student who is working on filling in the blanks, an interverbal, and this winter I wear, and the student fills in the blank to say boots. We can work on it a lot of different ways. In the summer, I wear sandals, okay? In the winter, I wear a coat and a hat. And so sometimes I have students who are readers, so they'll come up to the smartboard and they'll read that sentence. In the summer, I wear short sleeves and shorts. And so I try to keep the pictures age respectful, age appropriate, whatever you want to call it, that I'm working with older students. And so these materials are engaging for younger students. My own little kids like to look at these books, but also when you're working with older students, it's nice to show them things that are more natural to the environment that they're going to be seeing. In the winter, it snows and feels cold. And then here in Ohio, I always go, what do we call that? Because it's a snowplow, okay? People that live in other areas, or like when I lived in Austin and Dr. Carbone was visiting and we were having a conference and it was snowing at lunchtime and everybody was outside with their camera snapping photos, which he thought was really funny because I think he's from New Jersey. And so people in Austin don't see snow and school gets canceled, right, if there's any bit of snow. So they may not know snowplow. So that could be a language-enriched moment right there, a teachable moment. In the summer, it is sunny and feels hot. Okay, beach, I want to be there. In the winter, I like to go sledding. Okay, things we like to do. In the summer, I like to swim in the pool, right? Most kids like to swim. And then we talk about which season do you like better. So these activities lend themselves to talking about all kinds of things. So one week I introduce the book, and then this particular book has matching pictures from the book. So if your student's a really early learner and they're working on matching identical pictures, we worked on that skill. The next week we read the book, and then I bought clothes from home where we separated into winter versus summer. Okay, and repetition is good. It's good to talk about these different concepts and kind of generalize them. If you're working on them in a one-on-one setting with labeling and things of that nature, it's kind of nice to weave it into that cooperative time. Another book that I wanted to show you that's an older, more for older students is I Love Going to the Library. So I have a couple different books like this. If you are working in a life skills classroom and you are working on going to the library, sometimes it's nice to introduce those concepts that are simplistic using a book like this. So this one is called I Love Going to the Library. I like to look at the books, right? So if I have a student who's using an AAC device, they can find that on their device as well, or by using sign language. I also like to work on the computer. Most of the kids know computer because we all like to work on the computer, right? I like to pick a book about soccer. So just trying to come up with things that we could potentially do at the library to introduce some of these concepts in an adapted way, meaning high engaging text, high engaging photos, and simplistic text. I also like to look at the magazines. The librarian helps me find a book. So we're working on different community helpers, right? A librarian who helps us at the library. After I find my book, I sit down and do work. I love going to the library. And then this particular book has fill in the blank phrases that are about what we talked about in the book. And a lot of my adapted books, you can make these books yourself if you wanted to, if you have specific things that you want to address with your learners. I actually do have a product in my TPT store that is an adapted book. If you are not finding what you need out there in your resources with distributors, on TPT, that I could definitely make you adapted books because I really like making these. So let me make one for you about something that you may need. So this particular book has fill in the blanks, which we've talked about are easier than answering questions, kind of a precursor to that, a prerequisite, and then also social language questions. So if you're working in a mixed group, these are really nice because you can have students filling in the blank, you can have students working on a COEX, and then if you're working with older students or students who have more language where it's appropriate for them to answer and ask back social type conversational questions, then I also include that too. So it's kind of all wrapped into one package. Because oftentimes I know that we're seeing students at different levels, maybe at similar times, or we want to have one theme for students and kind of work on it. It's important for all the students. So we're working on the theme of going to the library, and for this group I work on it this way, and for this other group we work on it at a different higher language level. And so that's why I really love adapted books. So I wanted to let you know that's one of my very favorite resources. I got into the field of speech pathology and behavior analysis because I love to help others. And I really like to make adapted books. And I love being on Teachers Pay Teachers now because I can share those with you. And all my books are super affordable. I really am just making stuff for my students in a way that I can share it with you and all that great stuff. So I wanted to let you know this week all about adapted books. Make sure you stop by my website, www.abaspeech.org, and sign up for my newsletter because I have a freebie section that's just for email subscribers. And check out my TPT store at ABA Speech. And if you are looking to spruce up that therapy bag, check out those action builder cards. Those are also for sale on Amazon, Speech Corner, Different Roads to Learning, and more distributors I'm adding as the days go on. So hope you guys are doing well, and till next time.